How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to read the roads of trading, whether the price is going up or down. MetaMask crypto wallet briefly pulled from Apple App Store. The app was removed due to an internal operational error on their end, said a MetaMask spokesperson to Decrypt. Rather than any action taken by Apple, there wasn't really much more on the situation, so they kept it kind of hush-hush. But the app was resolved and back up in a few hours. SEC didn't appeal the Grayscale decision, so what happens next? Bloomberg analyst explains. Grayscale is suing the SEC, arguing that because the agency had previously approved certain custodial agreements to prevent fraud on Bitcoin futures-based ETFs, the same setup can be satisfactory for Grayscale Spot ETF. Bloomberg ETF analyst James Sapphire announced that negotiations between Grayscale and the SEC will begin next week, and that the SEC is likely to give a response within the next 2 weeks. Over on the charts, we are starting to continue back up. We are getting stopped out by this EMA level. For those of you who are just joining us, we have two free indicators. Market Cipher B. It's like spelled Market Cipher BEE right there, and then Market Cipher A. So these are both free, great resources that you can use instead of paying for Market Cipher. We are rejecting this EMA. Our EMA levels, real quick, I'll show you that since that is different than normal. Here are our EMAs, so if you'd like to get that set up. We are overall falling. We are falling from this resistance on this Fibonacci level. And Fibonacci level is something we've had drawn for quite a while for this range. We are overall pushing down. Our RSI does want to continue up. Stochastic does want to continue up, but it's very close, so it could inch its way back out very easily, especially since this EMA is acting as a resistance point for us. Going to get rid of that real quick. Our momentum does want to push forward. Our VWAP is trying to continue forward, and our VWAP does want to break above that neutral. So if it can break above with some strength, we can continue bullish action from here. Our money flow does want to continue up, but that will be dependent on that VWAP and momentum gaining some bullish action. If they start to fall away, then the money flow is likely going to continue in this bearish trend, and we will continue down. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we are acting more as a ascending channel here. So we do have possibility to continue back down as we did just touch our resistance up here. Stochastic is heading out, our momentum is falling away, and our RSI is falling because our stochastic is weakening. That momentum has a red dot from that VWAP crossing that bearish territory. If this VWAP continues down, it is in a little bit of a bearish trend with lower highs and lower lows. If that continues down, then we are likely going to see this momentum on the price action for our money flow start to fall to the bearish side. If both those things continue to the bearish side with this VWAP in the bearish territory, we are likely going to see this breakdown happen. Remember, you don't necessarily have to have 3 touches. 3 touches is just like a textbook definition of a rising channel or a bear flag. Over on Bitcoin futures, we are rejecting with a manipulation X from our EMAs. We did try to come back up again and got rejected for a second time in a row. Our stochastic's overall pushing out. RSI is pretty flat. That VWAP does want to head back up, and the money flow is maintaining this range between this -18 and the -27. So if it continues to stay within this zone, we would still have that bearish momentum to help bring the price action back down to around this 26.3 level. Over on Bitcoin, we are trying to reject our pattern, but we didn't quite get back into our golden pocket. So tomorrow's candle is going to be pretty important. If we fall back into this pattern and confirm a break into the pattern with some sort of rounding top, then we're likely going to trend out. However, if we push above into the golden pocket, it is likely we'll get some bullish action and possibly some manipulation as we do have that volume profile, point of control right around here. So we could come up, hit that point of control, and try to break it again. If we're not able to break that point of control, we could set up some sort of really big double top here and ultimately end up falling away from that. We'd had to reevaluate. If we do continue up from here, I will be getting rid of this pattern, as we will have to look for other patterns. We are overall getting continued highs with lower lows, so we are pushing down. We are starting a bit of a bearish trend, so I would keep an eye on that. Over on the 4 hour here, you can see we are trying to push above. We do have a tweezer top here. We had another tweezer tops back here, but neither one seems to be able to push us down. These are usually bearish patterns that could show that the bulls want to gain control and push us up. We are just under the golden pocket for the Fibonacci zone. If you don't have that golden pocket, you're going to have to watch our Fibonacci video to get that. Our money flow is inching out, heading toward that bearish territory, continuing down, and that VWAP is breaking bearish as well. The momentum has a red dot as that VWAP has broken into the bearish territory. So overall, even though we're trying to hold our ground, we are rejecting this EMA, and we do have the possibility to break back into this pattern and see lower price action. Real quick, if you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join us in that Discord link up above or in the description down below. Our EMAs are getting tight. They do want to cross here on the 2 hour. If we can see this green get above the blue and continue forward, that would be a bullish signal for us. However, if we see these EMAs start to pull back and we start getting red candles, that could be indicative of us falling back, breaking into this pattern, and seeing lower price action. That momentum is coming out. Stochastic's pushing down. That RSI is inching out. That Stochastic's weakening our RSI, so it's holding its ground. But if the Stochastic continues out, the RSI is likely going to follow suit. That VWAP is in the bearish territory, so it is giving that momentum bearish strength. That is why it's starting to come down close to that neutral. It does want to break into the bearish territory. Our money flow is in the bearish territory here. We are trying to break through that neutral. It does want to gain some bullish momentum. It's kind of stalling here, just like it did back here. If we are able to flip bullish with VWAP and money flow, we could see continual price action up and break our other EMAs that we have above us. However, if this money flow starts to reject and that VWAP maintains in this bearish territory in these lower time frames, we're likely going to see price action start to inch its way back out. Overall today, we pretty much just held our ground. Over on the 1 hour, we are trying to come up to these EMAs. We have 3 EMAs that are very close together, but they are starting to diverge away with the lower EMAs falling below the higher ones. So we have the yellow, then the blue, then the green. You'd want to see it the inverse. So you'd want the green, then the blue, then the yellow to suggest that you're pushing up. Our RSI is trying to push forward. Our momentum is in the bearish territory. Our VWAP is heading up, and our Stochastic's trying to make a bounce, so that Stochastic could give our RSI some more strength. That's why our RSI is starting to make a bounce here. That money flow is trying to cling on to the bullish territory, so if our VWAP can break through this 15 zone and continue up, we may see a push toward that golden pocket. However, if the VWAP rolls away here, we're likely going to get sucked back under and see lower price action. Over on graph for the daily, we are trying to break above this support and hold, but we are still getting stopped out by that EMA level. RSI is heading up, but it's starting to flatten out, so I would keep a close eye on it. Our Stochastic is pretty flat. It does want to run up. Again, if you want to see any other coins besides what we have, we could substitute a coin, like we have meme coin night tonight, where we have Doge and SHIB. Our momentum is pushing out. It does have a double green dot. Our VWAP does want to continue forward, so those are bullish signals for us. Our money flow is pushing into the bullish territory as a result. So you can see we are trying to continue up. If we can get a new high on that money flow, that would possibly start a bullish trend that could help price action go up. However, if that money flow makes a new lower high here and rejects this neutral, we are likely going to confirm a bearish trend as we have a high. This is a lower high than here, a lower low. So we do have a bearish trend on our money flow here. Over on the 4 hour, we are trying to push forward. Our green EMA did break above our blue EMA, so that is good for us. That is a bullish cross, but we are coming back down and starting to see that slide a little. I would keep an eye on that. If this red pushes below that green EMA, we could break the blue EMA and see lower price targets. So this could be a bit of resistance as we are in a previous support resistance zone. Over on the 4 hour, our stochastics overall starting to arch its way out, so our RSI is likely going to start to lose some strength. You can see it is slightly inching its way away. Our momentum does have a red dot as our VWAP is trying to cross into that bullish territory, or bearish territory, sorry. So as that VWAP continues into the bearish territory and breaks lower, we are likely going to see price action round off here and drop down. However, if that VWAP can continue forward, that could bring our momentum back up and our money flow over that neutral into the bullish territory, which could give us a pretty decent move to the upside. That could set up a cup and handle here that could push us up to our support area. Over on the 2 hour, price action is pretty similar to the 4 hour. We have that cup and handle possibility. Stochastics overall pushing out. RSI is pretty flat. Our momentum is rounding away and pushing down, so momentum is getting more bearish strength. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory, rejecting away from that neutral and crossing down. And our money flow is in the bullish territory, but it's struggling to get above this 14 zone. If it's not able to get above this zone, we're likely going to start to see it fade away with that VWAP falling down. Over on the 1 hour, you can see we have a bit of a descending triangle that could be forming here. That could end up breaking us down, and then we could see lower price action continue from that. Our RSI is pretty flat here. Stochastic starting to round away. Our VWAP is overall rounding out, and our money flow is pushing down. Overall, most of our indicators are pushing in the bearish territory. Our EMAs are trying to cross through. The lower EMAs are trying to continue to push through higher EMAs. So we do have a slight bullish trend trying to form here. It is going to be real important if we can get some strong green candles. If we don't get strong green candles from here, then we're likely going to see a break to the downside. Over on Anchor for the daily, we are trying to push above and stay within our flag, so we are not filling our bottom gap yet. RSI is heading up, stochastic's trying to run up. Our money flow is trying to push forward, and our momentum wants to push forward with a green dot. So we are still staying within this range that we do have so far. Over on the 4 hour, you can see we dip down. We are trying to make some sort of cup and handle possibility here. If we come back down, we would carve out that handle, at which that could push us forward to the top of our support resistance area of our flag. This resistance could bring us down, as that would be, I believe that'd be our third touch on the daily. It'd be about the fourth touch, so that would be more than 3 touches, and that would increase our chances of breaking down if we started to reject from that zone. Back to the 4 hour though, our stochastic is falling. RSI is pretty flat here. Our momentum is starting to round away as our VWAP is trying to push through to that bearish side. The money flow is starting to round away, so I would keep a close eye on the price action here. If the lower time frames start to show bearish indicators like falling money flow, falling VWAP, and falling momentum, then we could see price action reject away from this big pump we got. I'm saying big pump because it's almost 3% while the rest of the market stayed pretty flat. I think someone just wanted to manipulate price to make me look like a liar. We have a reversal arrow here on our 2 hour that does show that price action does want to make a corrective move. We were in a pretty strong run up, so a corrective move of that would be a run back down, so I would watch out. But we do possibly have our cup and handle formed here that could push us up as well. So I would say if we break above this zone where we're at and we can start to push above this 1934, there is possibility of revisiting the 2 cent area, but then it is very likely we could see a snapback down from that area as we still have some gaps below us. Our RSI has a red dot here, signaling that our RSI wants to start to cool off. Our stochastic is heading down, signaling the RSI is losing strength. That VWAP is in that bearish territory. Our money flow is in the bullish territory, but it's struggling to maintain any strength above the 17.5 zone. If we are not able to sustain this zone and stay within this bullish territory, meaning we don't break to the neutral and fall red, then we could see continued price action up. However, if this money flow starts to break toward that neutral and falls into the red territory, we could see a new bearish trend. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a possibility for a bit of a rounding top. This might be a double top forming that could break us down. I would keep a close eye for that possibility. If that is not the case though, we could see these lower EMAs continue to push above these higher EMAs, which is what I was talking about earlier. When you get your run up, you get your lower EMAs passing through your higher EMAs, but they are likely going to retest at some point. RSI is starting to head down, momentum's starting to come out, money flow is starting to push down, our stochastic's starting to lose strength. Stochastic and momentum have bearish divergences. If that carries over to the other time frames, it is very likely we could see price action move to the downside from there. Over on XRP, we're pretty flat here too. RSI is trying to head up, stochastic wants to get a bullish cross, that VWAP does want to push forward, and the money flow is trending out. So we have some mixed signals here. We do still have that possibility for a double bottom to form if we continue with green candles. Our momentum does want to push to the upside as our VWAP is trying to push that neutral. So if that VWAP can continue up, that would be a positive sign for us. Over on the 4 hour, our EMA, lower EMA, is trying to pass through a higher EMA. So we are trying to start some sort of a bullish trend here. Stochastic is pretty overbought. RSI is continuing up as it has as much strength as it can have. Our momentum is pushing forward, but our VWAP is starting to get lower highs, so our momentum may start to round away. Our money flow is picking up bearish strength. We did make a new relatively local high, but we are starting to push away. If we continue with our lows and maintain the zone, it is very likely price action could fall to the bearish side. But if we do continue this momentum to the upside, we do have a bit of an ascending triangle we could form that could try to push us to this previous range. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic is starting to push down. RSI is pretty flat. Our momentum is rounding away with a red dot as our VWAP is kind of peaking in that bearish territory. It's very hard to see. If we get a push up and make a new high, we would have a bullish trend for that VWAP, as we have a lower low on that VWAP currently, and we are just barely in the bearish territory. That money flow is continuing a bit of a bullish trend as it is getting higher lows. So if it comes up, makes a new higher high, it could break through the neutral and we could see a push to the upside, kind of like algos make. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic's pushing out, momentum is pushing away, our RSI is pretty flat, our money flow is keeping its ground. It is in the bullish territory, but it's not very strong. That VWAP is in the bullish territory as well, but both ends are kind of weak, so I would keep a close eye on them. If they fall to the bearish territory, it is likely we'll start a new leg to the downside. Over on Algo for the daily, we are getting rejected by our EMA here. We are still somewhat sideways. RSI is trying to continue up, starting to kind of curl. Our stochastic's pretty tight, but trying to continue with a bullish cross. Our view up is in the bullish territory, and our momentum is getting a green dot as a result. So we do have potential to continue to the upside from here. Over on the 4 hour, we are starting to kind of round away, so we could form a rounding top and see a drop to the downside. Stochastic is going to break with a bearish cross. Our RSI is likely going to start to lose strength if that stochastic continues down. That momentum is starting to come out with a red dot as that VWAP is peaking in the bearish territory. It's technically a new lower low, as we did come up, touch that neutral, made a bounce, made a lower high. This could be a new low, and then if we round back over and make a new lower high, then we could technically start a new bearish trend. We do still have a gap to the bottom that we could fill. That money flow is pushing away from that neutral, so it could gain some bearish strength here. I would watch out, most indicators aren't looking too good. Over on the 2 hour, we are rejecting this EMA. We are trying to cross through it. We've been trying to cross through it pretty much all day. RSI is pretty flat. Stochastic's overall pushing out, even though price is trying to stay flat. So we have bearish divergence forming there. Our momentum is overall pushing out, even though price is staying flat. So more bearish divergences. Stochastic does want to make a bullish cross, but it looks like it's kind of stalling out. So if it doesn't maintain a strong cross here, our RSI is likely going to break to the bearish side, and we could see price action start to fall. That VWAP is trying to break that neutral. Money flow is trying to break neutral, so we want to gain some bullish strength. We'll have to see if we can continue forward with some strong green candles. Otherwise, if we follow with some red candles, it is likely we're going to break these EMAs and see lower price action. Over on the 1 hour, we are pretty flat here. We are maintaining a range overall, so we could have some sort of a symmetrical triangle. That symmetrical triangle would be a bearish pattern that can break us either up or down. Since it's coming from a break from the downside, that would be a bear pendant that could push you down and start this break of this bear flag. Our RSI is overall losing strength, even though price action is staying pretty consistent. Stochastic wants to run up. Our money flow is rejecting that neutral, overall in a bearish trend. Our VWAP is starting to come back down toward that neutral, so I would watch if it comes back down and hits the bearish territory. If we make consistent lows here, we could just stay in this range. But if we push violently with a new low, then we could get a pretty strong break to the downside. So Dogecoin, we are trying to get a push. We are trying to push to a higher EMA level. So pretty decent move today. RSI is trying to head up. VWAP's trying to head up. Stochastic wants to head up. And money flow is trying to cross bullish. The momentum has a double green dot and wants to round up. So we are trying to continue forward. We do have a bit of a rounding bottom that could make some sort of cup and handle that could try to give us one last saving grace possibility to push to the upside. Over on the 4 hour, we are pretty flat here. We are coming up, meeting resistance. This is where you would want to look for that cup to form, or that handle rather. We have made the cup. This is our cup. We would come back down, make a handle. If we can make a handle, break through this zone, we would continue to the upside and try to break through this zone, at which point we would want to evaluate. Stochastic trying to head up, RSI is trying to head up, momentum's trying to go up. That VWAP struggling to maintain a new highs. It is starting to come back down, but it's maintaining bullish momentum, giving our price action a possibility to run up. That money flow did cross the bullish territory, but it's not very strong, and the RSI is getting a red dot, so we could see a push to the downside. I would watch the lower time frames closely. We have a reversal arrow here that suggests that it wants to break to the downside, as we were getting a pretty strong push up. Stochastic's overall continuing up, momentum's pushing up. Our momentum's as high as it's been for quite some time. Last time it was this high, we started this primary breakdown that we are retesting. Our money flow is trying to go up, which is giving price action strength. Sorry, just tap the space. VWAP is trying to test that neutral, so if the VWAP breaks to the bearish side, then we will see a round off here and a push to the downside. However, if that VWAP kind of zigzags like it did back here, we could make that handle and then continue back up. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic does want to run up. RSI is trying to run up. Our momentum is pretty flat. That VWAP is trying to continue forward, and the money flow is trying to head up as well. So money flow is trying to pick up. Money flow is meeting resistance here. VWAP did make a higher low, but it's making a lower high currently, so it's a little dicey right now. If that VWAP rolls over and makes a lower low, then we would start a bearish trend, and we could retrace these gains rather quickly. Over on SHIB on the daily, we are trying to push up toward this EMA level. We are kind of pushing away from it, getting rejected. Our RSI is trying to head up, stochastic's trying to run up, that VWAP wants to run up. Our money flow is trying to push up, and the momentum has a double green dot. So we are looking pretty strong on the daily. Over on the 4 hour, we are trying to make a bit of a handle here. So if we continue with green candles, then we can make that handle, continue up, and retest this resistance to the top of our flag that we broke away from, and see if we can have price action to the upside. Kind of like SHIB, or Doge, sorry. Stochastic's overall pushing out. We have a double red dot. That momentum wants to roll over. RSI is starting to weaken. Our VWAP wants to fall to the bearish side, and the money flow is looking a little dicey. If that money flow falls to the bearish side, we're likely going to get pushed down, especially if the VWAP maintains with it. Over on the 2 hour, we are trying to push up, so this would be where we'd form the push up for our handle. If we do not get that push up here, it is very likely that cup and handle won't happen and will reject to the downside. Our momentum is starting to round out. Our stochastic's pushing down. Our RSI is trying to continue up, but with the stochastic weakening, that may start to weaken as well. The money flow is maintaining a bullish strength, so we do have some buying action, but if it starts to round away here, we could set up bearish pressure. Now VWAP is in a bit of a bearish trend here, so if we come up, reject that neutral, then we are likely going to see a leg to the downside from there. Over on the 1 hour, our money flow is testing that neutral, getting real close. Our VWAP is pushing on the other side, so we're having a battle between the two. Our stochastic's coming down, RSI is losing strength, and the momentum's coming down. But with that VWAP trying to push that neutral, our momentum could try to come back up and bring our money flow back up. If that can happen, we would see a push, try to test these support resistance areas. Otherwise, if our money flow breaks to the bearish side and the VWAP rounds away here, we'll reject these higher EMAs and see a leg to the downside, retrace these gains, and see this flag play out fully. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.